The CEOs of the four biggest tech companies in the spotlight today. We're going to preview what to expect out of this afternoon's historic hearing. Plus, the Emmy nominations are in. For the first time, it's Netflix on top. And John Lewis makes his final return home. Here's what you need to know. Good morning. This is Cheddar's Need2Know podcast for Wednesday, July 29th. I am Jill Wagner with Carlo Versano. Good morning, Carlo.
Reporting back from the great borough of Brooklyn, New York, Jill. It is good, I guess, good to be back home. Yeah, good to see you. How are we doing?
We're doing well. I miss the birds chirping. But
You and me both.
good to have you on your home turf right now.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to the news because another milestone when it comes to coronavirus in this country. 150,000 people have now lost their lives because of the virus. We've been hitting about 1,000 deaths a day in this country for about a week now. And just as new coronavirus cases are leveling off in places like Arizona, Texas, Florida, and now California, Dr. Fauci is warning of new outbreaks forming in Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, and other Midwestern states. There are now 21 states that are in the federal government's red zone, meaning that they reported more than 100 cases per 100,000 residents in the last week and require aggressive action to slow the spread.
Yeah, Jill. So the 7-day moving average for national cases is looking like it's holding steady around 65,000. That, of course, is embarrassingly high, needless to say, but it at least seems to be holding steady, which is promising news. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, AFT, which is the second largest teachers union in the country, they just authorized their members to go on strike as a, quote, last resort if they are in school districts that they feel are not safe to reopen in the fall. So, you're going to start to see, this debate. We still don't really, we don't really have an answer to the school question, and we're now about to be in August when a lot of schools, especially in the South, reopen. And the other thing I wanted to mention on Corona before we move on, Jill, is I don't know if you and your husband saw the Ohio State news, but the governor of Ohio saying yesterday that if they even put on games, they're going to be at 20% capacity. They're going to say no tailgating at all. So I think that just gives you a sense of what we're looking at for college football this year.
Of course we saw that news, Carlo. Actually, it's funny. My husband said to me, I'm starting to accept the fact that there just might not even be football in the fall. And that, look, it's just a big part of his life. And everyone has their thing, right? That summer doesn't feel the same without XYZ, or fall doesn't feel the same without XYZ. So everyone has it. For him, it's that college football season. He is now more concerned, though, that he's going to run out of stuff to watch, on streaming, Netflix, and just with production being shut. I joked to him, though, about football. I was like, they should do what the Mets are doing at Citi Field with the cardboard fans. I was like, wouldn't you pay, $86 or whatever it is to get, a cardboard version of you watching? So his answer was like, it depends on the seat,
Yeah, exactly. Right. If you can't be seen from the TV cameras, what good is it? But that's sort of a funny thought.
Anyway, the real big story to watch today, CEOs of four of the biggest tech companies, including two of the richest people in the world, will be testifying to Congress remotely this afternoon in what's expected to be this pivotal moment for the industry as it faces a reckoning over its power in everyday life. So this House hearing in which Tim Cook of Apple, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Sundar Pichai of Google will all be participating. It's technically on the topic of antitrust and regulation there, but you expect to hear lawmakers veer into issues like free speech, misinformation, and China.
Yeah, nothing's off the table. So it's going to be interesting. Jill, starts at noon Eastern time. You can watch that on Cheddar. I'll link to the live stream in the newsletter today. But you think of this as I don't know if any of our listeners remember. I mean, I don't because I was 10 years old at the time. But back in April 1994, that's when the tobacco company executives testified to Congress, and they all came prepared and said that they didn't think cigarettes were addictive. Remember, this was only, you know, not even 30 years ago that they were saying this, and it was really this big moment in sort of, that industry sort of just turning into people realizing that that industry was simply too big and too unregulated, right? And it began to sort of fall apart after that. So I'm not saying that it's not like Facebook is Philip Morris, right? It's not producing a product that actually physically kills you, but these companies are producing products that are essentially poisoning our brains. So I think that anyway, what you should expect that the CEOs of these companies to basically come out and say, hey, look, we're not that big. We're not, there's plenty of competition in the market. We're not monopolies. There's a lot of other players. You don't have to go to Facebook for your social media needs. You don't have to go to Amazon
Yeah,
to,
you could go to
you know,
Instagram, which we
yeah,
also own.
exactly. Right, exactly. You don't have to go to Amazon for your, whatever you need to buy. We're just going to make it the easiest, cheapest way to do so. So I think that we may look back on this as a similar moment to the tobacco CEOs. Probably not exactly analogous, but it's going to be a big moment for sure.
I do want to quickly run through what each company is essentially going to be really grilled on today. So Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, he's going to be asked why Facebook doesn't have a monopoly on social media, given that it owns WhatsApp and Instagram. Bezos will likely just be asked about whether Amazon abuses its role as a retailer and a platform for third-party retailers. Apple in the spotlight for the App Store and whether it unfairly blocks rival company apps and forces others to pay high commissions. And Sundar Pichai will be asked about Google's dominance in search and advertising. I guess you could call all of that under the umbrella of are you too big? A lot of people who follow this stuff, a lot of journalists who this is their beat, don't really expect much to come from this for many reasons. One of them is just because the issues that are facing all four of these companies are very different, right? Apple makes its money in a very different way than Amazon,
Right.
than Facebook and Google. And to put them all under this umbrella kind of lets them all off the hook a little bit. And there's just not enough time to get into all of them. The other issue, too, is whether lawmakers are equipped to do this line of questioning. I don't think I am, and
Yeah.
I probably am more than I don't even, than the lawmakers.
Right.
The history has proven that when these tech giants, these CEOs go to Capitol Hill, they lawmakers don't really.
It's usually
they show that they
embarrassing.
don't totally know. It's so embarrassing, and they show that they just don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to.
I
It's
forget.
like, what is the internet?
Right.
Just have your expert do it. Like I know everyone wants the soundbite, but
Yeah.
nothing's going to come of this if it just turns into political theater.
Who is the congressman? His name is escaping me now, but he was the guy who, when Zuckerberg was on the Hill last time, and he was like, "So how does Facebook make money anyway?" It's like you don't even know that, and Zuckerberg was like, "We sell ads, sir." Anyway, but yeah, I think those are very good points, Jill. And again, this is going to veer into this is a partisan. It's always partisan on the Hill, but this is an election year, so this is going to also devolve into politics. You're going to have Democrats accusing all of these companies of sort of profiting off of misinformation, or at least some of them. And Republicans are going to accuse them of stifling conservative voices, or at least Facebook and Google will have to answer questions about that, I think. But you're right. I don't think anything's going to come of it because, to your point, there's too many different issues at stake here. But it'll be a symbolic moment, if nothing else. And one thing that I'm going to be watching is Jeff Bezos. He doesn't do this ever. He's never testified on Capitol Hill, to my knowledge, and he's certainly. Of all of them, he's the one who sort of likes to fly under the radar. He makes his his influence known in other ways, like buying the Washington Post and being sort of like a socialite type figure in Washington himself, but he doesn't want to be here. None of these guys are going to want to be here, but him specifically. He's always tried to sort of float above the fray when it comes to direct scrutiny of Amazon. So he'll be interesting to watch.
Another aspect of this, which really is nobody's fault, is just the fact that because it's remote, and these guys aren't going to actually be there in person. I think that takes some of the teeth out of it too.
Totally.
There's just something about seeing them walking in,
doing
actually being physically in front of the Congress members. I'm expecting just a lot of theater. I hope I'm wrong, because I think all of these companies do have a lot to answer for right now. And so I
absolutely,
I hope that we do get something substantive from it, but I don't think so. A lot of news, by the way. Did you have anything else to add on that, Carlo?
No, I was just going to say it's going to be funny that because they're all going to be like interrupting each other, right? Because it's going to be like a big Zoom call. No, you go ahead. No.
And I also want to see what their backgrounds are, right? Like, I want to see where they are.
That's a good point. Yes. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Right. Is Bezos going to be coming from like his, yacht in the Maldives or something? I don't know.
I think they'd all be best to just go with a generic background.
Go in the basement. Yeah.
Okay, a lot of news on the entertainment beat today. First, the Emmy nominations are in. The big headline has to be Netflix, which has broken HBO's record for the most nominations with 160 to HBO's 107. NBC was third with 47. Netflix did earn nods for Ozark and The Crown in the best drama race. It's now wide open, of course, now that Game of Thrones, one of my faves, that show is over. HBO earned 26 nominations alone for Watchmen. Disney Plus and Apple TV Plus got their first nominations for The Mandalorian and The Morning Show, respectively. The awards will be handed out one way or another on September 20th.
Quibi even got some nominations, which
that blew my mind. I thought everything on that. I thought that was a bust.
I think it is a bust. I don't know. I mean, I guess they still got a little bit of sway with the award show circuit, but I don't know. But it is fascinating to see how the Emmys have changed from being, 20 years ago it was all about network TV, right? Then it was all about prestige TV like HBO, and now it's all about the streamers. It's really it's fascinating to see. But you know where I stand on all this, which my idea, which I believe that I floated on this podcast probably this time last year when we were talking about this, which is just combine the Emmys and the Oscars into one like gigantic award show. Do it over 2 days. Do it the week between Christmas and New Year's when no one's doing anything and everyone's just like sitting on the couch anyway. It's a perfect idea. This is the perfect year to do it, especially because the Oscars are going to be a complete disaster. There's no movies. I mean, what's going to win Best Picture? Sonic the Hedgehog? Like, seriously. So yeah, if there's any Hollywood bigwigs listening, that's my brilliant idea. It doesn't really make sense anymore because it's like it's all TV shows and movies like are all sort of this. It's just content, right? Like it's just content that you want to consume.
A 2-day award ceremony sounds like a total nightmare, though. I mean, that just seems like a disaster.
Or you could just do it like a full day. Just give everybody the day off of work and just do it like, straight up from dawn to dusk. Just hand these things out.
By the way, equally sounds like a disaster. But I think that I like the award shows. I happen to still like watching the fashion and the red carpets. Yeah. But this year, I don't know. I mean, everyone's going to be home, so that's not fun.
Such a mess. Yeah.
On the subject of Hollywood, though, a major breakthrough in this debate over theatrical release windows, AMC has reversed course and says that it will allow Universal Studios films to be made available on demand just 17 days or 3 weekends after just 17 days or 3 weekends in theaters. This is a really big win for Universal and the studio system because they have been pushing for those windows to be shortened, and that was even before the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it just shows you how little leverage the theater chains have, right? Especially with the not being open. But they're just losing, they are losing steam in this battle as more people are just down to watch these movies at home, which I totally understand. But this will have big implications for Hollywood now that Universal has sort of like broken the dam. For consumers, it pretty much just means there's going to be more movies on demand sooner, right? So if if there's a new Minions movie next summer, say, and your kid is like, I want to go see it, I want to go see it, I want to go see it, instead of saying like we have to wait 3 months for it to be on demand, now it'll be on demand in 3 weeks. So it's a big change.
Yeah, also a couple of big moves worth noting from two of the most powerful women in the world. Oprah launching a new interview series on Apple TV today. And given that her interview skills are arguably what made her as rich and famous as she is, this is definitely something to watch. That series is free, even if you don't have a TV Plus subscription. I think that this is going to be huge. I think, especially in terms of where we are right now, in terms of discussions about race and systemic racism. I mean, I think she's the perfect person to be having these types of really hard conversations. And it sounds like that's what she's going to be doing, that's what she's using this platform for.
I wonder how much Apple paid her for that. But yeah, no, I mean, she's the queen.
I don't know. A lot.
I'll take one of those zeros for my own interview show. But that also happened the same day that I don't know if this was a coincidence or not, but Hearst Magazine said that they're basically going to shut down I think it's called O, right? The Oprah magazine. Mm-hmm. They're gonna stop publishing it monthly and going to turn it into a digital brand. So it's kind of not even Oprah can save the publishing industry. But also to your point about powerful women turning to media, Michelle Obama's podcast dropping today on Spotify. This is her exclusive interview podcast. Her first guest is none other than Barack Obama. So I don't know how she scored that booking, but kudos to her because everyone else has been trying to get him. But this is the first audio deal that the former first couple has signed as part of this big new media push with their Higher Ground Productions team. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And it's also, I think we've talked about this in the past, Joe, but this is why Michelle Obama would never accept the VP nomination. Like, why subject yourself to that when you could just be raking in the Spotify bucks? But by the way, on that note, the VP note, Joe Biden said that he will announce his pick for vice president next week, for what it's worth. So we got that to look forward to.
The Veep stakes, one of my favorite topics.
Love it.
Actually. And finally, I do want to mention John Lewis. Carlo, you and I have not spoken about because he passed away while you were out. But his casket is close to completing its journey, having gone over the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. That's where Lewis was nearly killed protesting for voting rights about 50 years ago. His casket lay in state at the Capitol. Now Lewis is headed home to Georgia. He's going to lie in repose at the Georgia State today ahead of his funeral service, which is tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add there because, what could I say about him other than he's just an incredible figure in American history. And those pictures of the casket going over the Pettus Bridge the other day, with the rose petals to signify the blood that was shed there, that was really remarkable. And the pictures of his coffin in the rotunda, which is that's the highest honor you can really give as an American, to lie in state in the Capitol. So just in a sad time that he passed.
No, absolutely. And it's like, I feel like we still need him. I just feel like we still need voices
we need more
like
people
that. Where in terms of just where we are right now, it's just
the country needs a moral
and he had a
compass,
great
no
life, but
question.
Yeah, that's what I feel. I mean, I feel like his voice would have been one that is particularly at this time is something that we need. But as a country, hopefully we'll figure it out.
From your lips.
All right, Carlo. Good to have you back in Brooklyn, even if you don't want to be there. That's what you need to know for Wednesday, July 29th.
Bye, guys.